Personally, here's where I think they didn't do a very good job, and that was with Kelsey Mitchell, who's an unrestricted free agent, because Kelsey Mitchell had a hell of a season this season. And I don't think she got the credit that she did.
Remember when Sheryl Swoopes made that comment? Well, Kelsey Mitchell's patience just ran out. After months of staying quiet, giving the usual polished media answers, and watching the noise build around Caitlin Clark, the Fever veteran finally snapped. She didn't hold back this time. She dropped a truth bomb that shook the entire WNBA. Mitchell made it crystal clear. The games, the headlines, the narratives. She's done with the disrespect, and she's ready to set the record straight once and for all.
Speaking of moments, you know, you've been, as you mentioned, your career with the Fever. First six, though, were tough, obviously. They weren't as easy. You guys have made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
This wasn't some random comment or a soft compliment. Far from it. Mitchell's words hit different because of who she is and everything she's fought through. When Kelsey speaks, it's not for headlines. It's from experience, from survival. She's weathered the darkest days of Indiana basketball. She's led rosters so thin they barely stood a chance. Pushed through endless coaching changes, brutal losses, and years of being overlooked. Yet through it all, she kept grinding, kept scoring, and kept carrying this team on her back. Kelsey Mitchell isn't just another player. She is the heartbeat of Indiana. Do you back Kelsey? Drop your thoughts below.
And then you bring in Caitlin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, you know, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that. And I love the teammate and person in her because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, you know, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, you know, what it is now.
That's exactly why this interview hit so differently. When you ask Kelsey Mitchell about Caitlin Clark, you don't get a polished, media-trained response or some predictable, she's a great teammate cliche. What you get is honesty, unfiltered and straight from the heart. And this time, it was more than just honesty. It was a reality check. Mitchell didn't just compliment Caitlin Clark. She confirmed what fans have been saying all along, but what critics still can't bring themselves to admit. Caitlin Clark hasn't just made an impact. She's redefined the entire basketball landscape. She's more than a star, more than a scorer. She's a cultural movement wearing a jersey. And for that message to come from Kelsey Mitchell, the one player who could have easily felt overshadowed by the hype, that makes it absolutely monumental.
You changed the world in so many ways. You've done it with so much grace, and I'm so happy to take the floor with you, to be a part of this experience. I want to tell you to give yourself some grace, kid. You've done a lot of things that not a lot of people can do, and from me to you, I'm always gonna be a fan. I'm always gonna be in your corner. I'm always gonna be in backcourt.
Mitchell looked straight into the camera and basically said, without Caitlin Clark, none of this happens. The packed arenas, the national buzz, the worldwide attention, that's all Clark. And instead of resisting it, Mitchell chose to embrace it. No bitterness, no shade, just pure respect. And here's what really hit hard for people like Swoopes. Her words weren't empty flattery. They came from perspective and balance. Because while Mitchell gave Caitlin full credit for changing the game, she also made one thing clear. Before Clark ever showed up, it was her carrying the Fever, keeping the franchise alive through the toughest years.
You've been with Indiana through the thick and thin. You've been with them since, you know, like we was talking, like we about to go get our rhythm on Indiana. You've been there, you stuck through until now being in the semifinals. What does that feel like? And for people watching, like girls, boys, if they athletes, not athletes, what does it feel like to stick through something and now see it come into full fold?
Think about that for a second. This is the same Kelsey Mitchell who carried Indiana through miserable 5-win seasons. The same player who kept showing up when others had already checked out. Meanwhile, some of those veterans, now sitting behind microphones, can't stop taking shots at Caitlin Clark. But Mitchell didn't need to clap back or drag anyone down. She just spoke facts. She laid out the story as it happened. She kept the franchise alive, and Caitlin brought it back to life. Together, they're creating something the league can't ignore. And that's exactly what makes this moment so powerful. Sheryl Swoopes, despite her legendary career, has turned Clark's rise into her personal battleground, questioning her stats, doubting her achievements, and calling her success media hype. But Kelsey Mitchell's words sliced right through all that noise. She didn't just stand up for her teammate, she stood up for the future of the WNBA, because Caitlin Clark isn't here to rewrite history. She's here to expand it.
Hasn't made the playoffs the last two. What's been the big turnaround? How have you viewed the way the team has grown organically?
Oh, man, I think a big shout out to the organization taking time to rebuild. I think our draft picks ended up coming big. Lexi Hall was a big draft pick, and then you get Kaylin, and then you get Wnba. And so you culminate that together with, my experience and having to, go through a couple things before they got there. I think it was just like a match made in heaven, really, because I was, still at a young age to really, vibe and get to know these players for who they were. And then you bring in Kaylin, who changed the world, changed the dynamic of basketball. And as a friend and as a player, you grow to appreciate her because, certain doors have opened because she's come to the Fever, and you have to respect that.
The brilliance of Kelsey Mitchell's words lies in how they managed to lift Caitlin Clark up while quietly calling out the bitterness behind Sheryl Swoopes' criticism. Because let's be real, if Kelsey, a player who's been through the grind and had every reason to feel overshadowed, isn't resentful, then why is Swoopes? Why is one of the game's greatest spending more time tearing Clark down than celebrating how she's elevating women's basketball? That's the uncomfortable truth Mitchell just put front and center. This wasn't just a quote, it was a statement, a mic drop moment where one of Indiana's most loyal veterans drew her line in the sand and said, "Enough." Kelsey Mitchell has been through the battles, carried the weight, and now, side by side with Caitlin Clark, she's helping build something special. Because real leadership isn't about being the loudest voice in the room, it's about standing up when it counts. And Mitchell did exactly that. She spotlighted Clark's influence while exposing the envy that's been lurking on the sidelines. The Fever aren't just scraping by anymore, they're thriving. And as for Sheryl Swoopes, she just got checked by someone who's actually earned the right to speak.
Now, you were an MVP finalist this year with our own Wnba even saying that you had the best season of any guard this year in the league. What has it been like to get that kind of recognition and get your flowers?
Oh, I appreciate it. I've been to a lot throughout the course of my career with Indiana Fever. It's been like my longest, ever. So it's for me, it's a humbling experience to kind of see myself make waves from where it started to where it is now. And just kind of respect the game, lean on the game as far as creating bonds and friendships. And now you get to see us do that now, a couple years later.
Kelsey Mitchell's loyalty to Indiana was never about fame or attention. For years, it went unnoticed, buried under losing records, empty arenas, and endless promises of rebuilding that never seemed to come true. But now, in 2025, that loyalty is finally paying off. Not just in stats or wins, but in something far greater, legacy. Her recent comments didn't just recognize Caitlin Clark's influence, they amplified it while also reaffirming her own place in the story. That's the brilliance behind Mitchell's message. She didn't turn it into a battle between eras or egos, between veteran and rookie. Instead, she reminded everyone that real leadership doesn't shy away from competition. It embraces it, learns from it, and uses it to grow stronger. That's why fans are still talking about what she said. Not because it was a viral soundbite or a PR move, but because it was authentic. Her words hit like a shockwave through a league too often bogged down by jealousy, drama, and side comments. Over the past year, we've seen the narrative twisted by players like A'ja Wilson throwing shade and Sheryl Swoopes spending more time questioning Caitlin Clark's success than celebrating what she's doing for the game. But Kelsey Mitchell just flipped that entire script. She showed the world you can praise a generational star without losing your own shine. You can speak truth without resentment. And in doing so, she gave the WNBA something it's been missing for far too long: genuine respect and real leadership.
Yeah, it's an unbelievable experience. It's a moment that I don't want to, take for granted. I want to cherish it as much as I possibly can. Like I said, I want to use this moment to as a moment to not grow. And so hopefully the mental preparation that I've been through and the things I've been through can kind of help me get through these moments. And then just, loving basketball for what it is and just, loving the game and having fun with it.
To really grasp why Kelsey Mitchell's words hit with such force, you've got to rewind the story a bit. Go back to those dark years when Lexi Hull first joined the Fever, when Indiana wasn't a contender but a punchline. Wins were rare, losses felt endless, and the franchise existed in the shadows of the league. Through all of it, there was one constant, Kelsey Mitchell. She was the one sitting at the post-game podium, forcing a smile after another brutal loss, talking about progress and building while carrying the weight of a collapsing franchise on her back. She wasn't just playing basketball, she was keeping the heartbeat of Indiana alive, dragging it forward when no one else could. Then came Aaliyah Boston, the first glimmer of real hope, a powerhouse in the paint, a true cornerstone. Her arrival felt like a new beginning, like the first sign of life after years in the desert. And soon after, everything changed with Caitlin Clark. She wasn't just a boost, she was a blast wave. Clark didn't just elevate Indiana, she flipped the entire sports media landscape upside down. Overnight, the Fever went from forgotten to front page, from empty seats to sold-out arenas, from local afterthought to national headline. And through all that transformation, Kelsey Mitchell never wavered. She didn't complain, didn't distance herself, didn't feel threatened by the spotlight shifting. Instead, she welcomed it. She understood what it meant for the game, for the team, for the city. That's what gives her words about Caitlin Clark so much weight. She's lived both versions of the Fever, the forgotten years and the glorious rebirth.
The teammate and person in her, because she's accepted it with so much grace and even welcomed us with open arms to, make this thing happen. So I think it just took a lot of big pieces to make, what it is now.
What has it been like? Because certainly the world has been focused on her, but what has it been like as a teammate? Because sometimes people are stepping to her, but I feel like you guys are stepping right back in those situations.
I think it's just it's competitive nature, man. You know how it goes. It's just competitive nature. I think that we want to fight to, love on our team and be who we are and respect the game at the same time. So I think it's a lot of just competitive nature at the end of the day.
And Kelsey Mitchell knows exactly which version of the Fever sells tickets and changes culture. But her message went far beyond basketball talk. It wasn't just a professional nod, it was deeply personal. She didn't just refer to Caitlin Clark as a teammate, she called her a friend. Now that might sound small, but in pro sports, where egos clash, rivalries simmer, and locker rooms can split apart, that word means something. It's rare. It's a sign that Clark hasn't just joined the Fever, she's transformed it. Mitchell made it clear, Clark didn't come in chasing the spotlight. She created a space where everyone could shine. That difference is massive. We've all seen so-called super teams crumble under the weight of ego and hype. But Clark flipped that script. She doesn't dominate the ball or demand every headline. She plays like the sun, radiating energy that lets everyone else glow brighter. And the proof? Kelsey Mitchell herself. Since Clark's arrival, Mitchell's game has reached another level. She's more efficient, clutch in big moments, and finally getting the national spotlight she's earned for years. Before Clark, Mitchell was one of the WNBA's best-kept secrets. Now, she's a name fans across the country know, and she's not bitter about it. She's grateful, because real confidence doesn't fear someone else's rise. It celebrates it.
After game one, I saw Caitlin posted she was fined $200 by the league for stepping on the court. So was there like a locker room pool for her there, or did she take care of that herself?
Man. I'm pretty sure somebody took care of it for her. I love it because as much people don't know this about Caitlin, but she has an unbelievable funny sense of humor. And so I think the tweet was the tweet, but you just have to know CC to know that it's just nothing but love coming from that kid, and her energy and her effort to just kind of support our team is just her way of doing it.
Kelsey Mitchell even gave the perfect example. Caitlin Clark's now iconic fine tweet. Remember when Clark made that lighthearted joke about getting fined on social media? The media instantly lost it, calling her cocky, immature, even entitled. But inside the Fever locker room, it was nothing but laughs. The team loved it. They saw it for what it really was. Caitlin just being Caitlin, funny, relaxed, and unapologetically herself. Mitchell made one thing crystal clear. Outsiders can twist it however they want, but within the team, that moment wasn't tension. It was team chemistry. If there were any jealousy or resentment brewing, that tweet would have caused chaos. Instead, it became another reminder that this group is locked in together, and that bond has turned into something the rest of the WNBA should be worried about. Indiana's Fab Four, Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull. Together, they're not just chasing the playoffs, they're laying the foundation for a dynasty. And Mitchell, she's all in. She even hinted she'd take less money to keep this core together. In a league where players chase max contracts, that's a bold move. And it shows exactly how much she believes in what they're building. Because Mitchell sees it clearly. The Fever aren't the underdogs anymore, they're the Storm. that's shaking up the league. With Clark's star power, Boston's dominance inside, Hull's hustle, and Mitchell's killer scoring touch, this team isn't just winning games, they're creating a legacy. This isn't about one season, it's about building something that lasts. And Mitchell's message couldn't be louder. Indiana's not going anywhere.
And look, you guys have been plagued with injuries, including to Caitlin, but you have the best sideline in the league, I feel like, right now. What does it mean to get that support during the postseason from the crew?
Oh, man, it's unbelievable. And I think the best part about it is that we have vet experience when it comes to Sydney Carlson, and she's a winner and she's a champion. And then you have people like Caitlin, who's a PG and can pass the ball. And so when I come on the sideline, I get feedback from some of the best players in the league. And so I don't take those moments for granted either, because I feel like it's a chance to see the game in a different route, and I get to get to talk to them from a level of just them having confidence in me to make plays. So I love it. It's a good experience to have.
Some people will roll their eyes at the idea that friendship could be the foundation of a dynasty, but the results speak for themselves. Mitchell believes in it, Clark energizes it, Boston solidifies it, and Hull embodies it. Together, they've taken a franchise once known for mediocrity and turned it into must-watch basketball. The Fever aren't begging for respect anymore. They're commanding it, and every night they're backing it up on the court. Mitchell's recent comments weren't just a compliment to Caitlin Clark, they were a declaration. Her message was simple: Clark changed everything, and I'm all for it. No jealousy, no bitterness, no ego, just appreciation, belief, and unity. That kind of authenticity is rare in professional sports, and it's exactly what makes Indiana's rise feel so genuine. Then there's Sheryl Swoopes. While Kelsey Mitchell is out here building bridges, Swoopes seems intent on burning them. Instead of celebrating Clark's impact, she keeps questioning it, calling it hype, downplaying her influence, and stirring division that doesn't need to exist. But Mitchell's words cut right through that noise, because if someone like Kelsey, who's been through the grind, who's had every reason to feel overshadowed, can embrace Clark without resentment, then why can't Swoopes? Why is a legend of the game more focused on tearing down the future than uplifting it? That's the uncomfortable truth Mitchell just forced everyone to face. She didn't just defend Caitlin Clark, she stood beside her. She supported her, empowered her, and made it clear that the future of the WNBA runs straight through Indiana. Because if Mitchell, Clark, Boston, and Hull stay united, the rest of the league isn't just facing another competitive team, they're staring down a dynasty in motion. And as for Sheryl Swoopes, she's already playing for the wrong side of history. Do you stand with Kelsey Mitchell? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because the Fever are just getting started.